She's the outcast of the Griffin family, the queen of cringe, and often the punchline of every joke. But sometimes, just sometimes, Meg Griffin lets her hormones take the spotlight. That's right, today we're diving deep into every time Meg was thirsty, flirty, or downright lustful in Family Guy history. From awkward crushes to full-on seduction mode, we're covering it all. Buckle up, because things are about to get weird, uncomfortable, and a little too revealing. The first entry on our list is the episode Quagmire and Meg. In this episode, Meg turns 18 and she desperately craves the freedom of being one. So in order to rebel against her parents, Meg starts dating Quagmire, and this is where everything goes wrong. The episode starts with Griffin surprising Meg with a birthday party, but no one shows up.
Mom, if it's a surprise party, where is everybody?
Chris, what the hell?
At their homes, doing more important things. It's not like anyone cares if you're 18 or not, Meg.
Hey, Quagmire, what's going on?
Well, Peter, a little birdie told me that today is Meg's birthday. So, where is the birthday girl?
Except for Quagmire. Of course he would care about Meg turning 18. That's called having an early investment.
Well, it's your 18th birthday, Meg. That's a very important milestone in a young woman's life.
Quagmire congratulates Meg on turning 18, as well as himself, because now he can make all the moves on her without getting sentenced to prison.
Yeah, look at Quagmire hitting on that skank. You know he's gonna close the deal.
Peter, that skank is your daughter.
Oh my God, you're right!
Peter knows how dangerous Quagmire is for women, especially barely legal women, so he immediately jumps in to stop any of his attempts on his daughter.
Well, gosh, Quagmire, this has been a fun night, but I guess you better be getting home now, huh?
Yeah, it is getting late. Guess I'll go home and rub out a giggity.
Peter's attempt at making Quagmire stay away from Meg is just like leaving Diddy to look after your children. We all know what happened to Justin within those 48 hours. Time passes by as Meg and Quagmire continue to keep in touch with each other. It all starts from texting, which soon turns to going on dates, which makes Peter extremely unhappy. He tries to stop Quagmire from taking out Meg for dinner, but Lois stops him and lets Meg go on with Quagmire.
Lois, you out of your mind? We can't let Quagmire take Meg out on a date. That guy'll bang anything. But I have to get dinner.
Go out.
Unlike Peter, Lois knows what goes through a young girl's mind, so she's worried that if they keep pushing Meg away from Quagmire, she will become rebellious and might end up doing something that they will all regret later on. While Peter and Lois are quarreling, Quagmire is trying to make Meg fall in love with him. He tries all the tricks in his books, but Meg keeps on playing hard to get.
But it's getting kind of late. I really want to see you again, though.
Oh, you know it.
Meg, who has never gotten any attention from a man in her whole life, is now suddenly being treated like a princess. This causes her to start trusting Quagmire, and they become even closer than before. Peter once again tries to stop Meg from getting close to Quagmire, but Meg ends up calling Lois, who educates Peter on the girly side of things.
This is a big game Meg is playing, and the only way to win is not to play it.
Is that a War Games reference?
Might be.
Still finding out new stuff about you.
Well, that's the adventure of marriage, Peter. You learn new things daily. Things that might either ruin your marriage, or also ruin your marriage. One day, Lois can't find Meg anywhere in the house, so she asks Peter where she might be. Peter tells her that Meg went with Quagmire to a secret cabin, which causes Lois to freak out.
Oh my God, I can't believe you knew about this and you let her go!
Lois can't believe that Peter knew about that, yet he still let her go. Peter isn't the one to let Lois get one over on him, so he reminds her that she was the one who told him not to interfere.
Hey, don't give me that crap. I'm doing exactly what you told me to do.
For the first time in his life, Peter was actually doing something good, so I'd let him have this one.
So you admit you were wrong?
Yes.
You admit you were stupid?
Yes!
You admit all women are stupid?
No!
After doing the most unimaginable thing a man can ever do, making a woman admit that she was wrong, Peter immediately takes out his car, and they rush to stop Quagmire from defiling their just-turned 18 daughter. Meanwhile, Meg, who has never felt the touch of the opposite gender in her life, immediately becomes engrossed in the feeling and almost ends up taking the final step.
You get away from my daughter, you pervert! Meg, get in the car. We're going home.
Yes, Daddy.
After Meg and Peter leave, Lois also gives one last warning to Quagmire before leaving and heading back home.
If you ever touch my daughter again, I will cut your thing off and feed it to Brian.
Oof, what did poor Brian do to eat such a terrible thing? Poor doggo. The episode ends with Meg learning a lesson that no matter how down bad she may be, a woman should always stay away from Quagmire. The next episode on our list is Valentine's Day in Quahog. If Meg was lustful in the previous episode because of her rebellious nature, In this episode, she breaks down all barriers of her down badness and ends up doing things that no sane girl would ever do. The episode starts with Meg going on a Valentine's date with a random guy that she met online. She dresses up all nicely and is ready to head out as the random online dude comes to pick her up. Before she heads off, Stewie gives her a few words of advice that will come in handy later on.
Okay, remember to ask questions about him. Seem interested. Listen. Giggle. Swallow.
Seems like pretty good advice to me, especially that last part, but pretty sus that a child like Stewie is giving it. After waiting for a while, the random online dude finally comes to pick her up as Meg opens the door to greet him.
Toby?
Meg?
Hi! Wow, you look just like your picture.
You don't look anything like yours.
After making sure he is picking up the right person, Toby and Meg head off as she tells the boys to don't wait on her. I'm not sure if it's the romance in the air on Valentine's Day or something else, but Toby and Meg hit it off immediately as they learn how similar their taste buds are.
Do you like Coldplay?
Am I a dull white guy? Yes, I like Coldplay.
God, Toby, I can't believe how much we have in common.
For the first time ever, everything seems to be working in Meg's favor, and it looks like she has finally met the guy of her dreams who would cherish her like a princess, but then this happens.
So what should we do next?
Soon, Meg wakes up feeling extremely cold and realizes that she is in a tub of ice cubes and water. She screams loudly as she also finds a scar on her left side.
Oh my God! Toby, what happened?
Oh, I just harvested your kidney.
Look at the size of this scar.
Sorry, it's my first day on this job.
I don't think worrying about the scar is your biggest priority right now, Meg. After finding out that Toby is an organ harvester, Meg is devastated as she can't believe that the only guy she had a chance with only went on a date with her because he wanted to harvest her kidney. But Toby doesn't feel guilty, as to him, business is business, and fresh kidneys pay a lot of money. Toby is about to leave, but Meg stops him and reminds him that he still has his promise left to be fulfilled.
You also made a promise to me. You promised we'd spend Valentine's Day together.
This makes Toby feel a bit bad for Meg, so he decides to make it up to her by finishing the rest of the date with her.
Well, I guess a deal's a deal. Okay.
And an organ is an organ. I mean, it isn't like that she can't live on just one kidney. So trading her kidney to live the most wonderful Valentine Day of her life sounds like a reasonable deal to me. To fulfill his promise, Toby spends the rest of the day making Meg the happiest girl in Quahog. They go to an amusement park, eat ice cream together, open fortune cookies, and whatsoever. Meg relishes this feeling of being loved so much that she even forgets that she has a gaping wound on her left side, which continues to worsen throughout the date.
Well, guess I better be going. But before I go, here,
For me? My kidney.
I wanted you to have it.
Oh, Toby, I love it. Thank you.
Well, that was yours to begin with, but hey, at least he was kind enough to give it back to her. I wonder what Meg will do with her kidney. Alright, why did I even expect anything else from such a down bad girl like her? We already saw how down bad Meg can be when it comes to handsome hunks, but the next episode on the list will seriously make you question if she is right in the head or not. The episode, Barely Legal, starts with Meg coming home from school all crying as she threatens to unalive herself. Brian asks her what happened, so she explains that they have a prom night coming up, but no one was willing to go with her. She even tried asking the backup guy what she had planned, but that only made things worse.
Hi, Jimmy. I heard you didn't have a date to the dance, and I was wondering if you'd like to go with me.
Oh, hang on. I'd love to go, Meg, but I have to go to my little brother's funeral that night.
Not gonna lie, after such a rejection, I too would unalive myself. But Brian thinks otherwise, so he stops Meg and tries to talk her out of doing the unthinkable.
All right, Meg, look, what if I drove you and walked in with you or whatever?
Brian, will you go with me?
Are you gonna kill yourself if I don't?
Yeah.
Meg is extremely exhilarated that Brian would do such a thing for her. She immediately starts picking up the best dress in her collection, which only makes her go from a 1 out of 10 to a 1.1 out of 10.
Here she is! Brian, I present to you your polished turd for the evening.
Calling Meg polished turd might be unfair to the poor turd. At least a turd has its own uses. On the other hand, Meg? I doubt so. After stoning himself with as much alcohol as he can consume, Brian is finally able to walk into the prom night with Meg. He tries his best to avoid being looked at by the people, but the polished turd beside him attracts way too much attention, and it's not the one that you would want towards you. Brian and Meg are sitting at the corner when Connie, alongside her girlfriends, approaches them and starts to bully Meg. They call her the B word, as she looks more dog-like than even Brian is. That pisses Brian off, who is already under the influence of alcohol, so he pushes things to the extreme as his toxicity becomes apparent.
You know, Connie, I think I have a theory about why you're such a bitch. You see, Connie, you're popular because you developed early and started putting out when you were 12.
I don't even have any words left to say. All I can say is that Brian ate and left no breadcrumbs. Meg is extremely surprised that Brian stood up for her, as no one ever has done such a thing for her. What should have been a happy family moment soon turns into the most Family Guy moment ever. This questionable moment marks the start of Meg's obsession with Brian, which soon turns into something horrible. At first, it's just Meg trying to show her love to Brian in various sorts of ways, like making coffee for him and calling him goodbye to tickle his funny spot. Brian immediately realizes where Meg is going, so he tries to explain to her in clear words that there is nothing in between them. But Meg doesn't listen to his words at all, and even goes on to say this.
We should totally be boyfriend and girlfriend.
Well, Meg,
Brian doesn't want anything to do with Meg, so he comes out straight. Or in this context, not straight, that he is gay.
you know what's strange? I think I might be gay.
Ah yes, the most obvious trick in the book. But Meg is easily able to see through his lies, so she forces him to go on a date with her, or else she threatens to tell Lois that he kissed her at the prom.
Come on, let's go to the mall. We'll get you a big old pretzel. I want a pretzel too!
To be honest, I wasn't in the mood for a pretzel, but now I definitely want one, especially those salted and crispy ones. At the mall, Brian tries to explain to Meg that she has got the wrong idea, and that it's just her teenage hormones making her think that they are a good pair.
Look, this has gone a little too far. I like you, I think you're great, but what happened at the dance was... that kiss was just a mistake.
That's the way dogs tell each other that they are interested to go down. But Brian can't just do it with someone like Meg, especially since she's his best friend's daughter.
All right, Brian. I understand.
Good.
Brian is glad that Meg finally understands, which puts him at peace because he really didn't want to date an ugly skank like her. All the things that he said about her being young or being Peter's daughter were all excuses because in Brian's dictionary, there is no such word as taboo when it comes to banging some huzz. After Brian leaves, Meg goes into a full psycho mode as she becomes even more obsessed with winning Brian over, even if it means kidnapping him straight out of his own house.
What's that, Brian? Oh, you were just kidding. Oh, I know you were. I love you too, Brian. And you love me. You do love me, Brian.
Poor Brian is unaware of what's going on behind his back, so one day he's casually coming home when Meg knocks him out and binds him with duct tape and drives him far away from the house. A few hours pass by, and no one has seen Brian or Meg in the house, so they become worried and start searching for them. Just then, Chris reveals that he might have seen something that he shouldn't have.
Is it bad if I saw Meg tie up Brian last night, put him in the trunk of his car, and then drive away?
What?
This is where Lois realizes that Brian was telling her the truth when he told her that Meg is acting crazy. At first she didn't believe him, but after she heard what Meg has done, she's pretty sure that Meg needs to be stopped. While the Quahog Police Department is trying to find both of them, Meg is making her moves on Brian so he won't be able to separate herself from her after she is done. Fortunately, before she can do anything to Brian, the police and the Griffins arrive and they free Brian from Meg's torture. After hearing some lectures from both Lois and the love guru Quagmire, Meg finally understands that her love for Brian was just her obsession and she leaves him alone. Meg's down bad nature doesn't just end here, as she continues to find targets to fulfill her deeply rooted fantasies, whether they're a random guy from the internet or her family pet dog. But the next target on the list will definitely make you question Meg's character, as in this episode, she will go far beyond her way to gain the man that she desires. The episode, The Hand That Rocks the Wheelchair, starts with Bonnie coming to meet Lois as she requests her to look after Joe because she will be out of town to visit her sick father.
I was hoping that while I was gone, you could look in on Susie and Joe.
Lois accepts her request, but since she doesn't want to look after another grown man all by herself, she throws this responsibility onto Meg. At first, Meg is unwilling to do it, but after Lois gaslights her for a few minutes, Meg finally agrees. After Bonnie leaves, Meg heads to Joe's house, where she tells him that she will be the one taking care of him while Bonnie's away.
Well, I'm here to help you out while Bonnie's gone.
And just like that, Meg becomes Joe's new caretaker. She learns a lot about taking care of paraplegic people and can't help but sympathize with Bonnie. Time passes by and Meg is so busy taking care of Joe that she forgets about school.
Oh my god, is it 10 of 8? Oh, damn it, I missed the bus.
Oh, well, that's all right, Meg. I can drive you to school.
Joe feels guilty that Meg missed the bus because of him, so he decides to drive her to school today. While they're on their way to Meg's school, Meg asks Joe what it's like being a paraplegic. Joe tells her that there is a famous saying in the handicapped community.
When life ruins your legs, you just gotta make lemonade.
Setting aside the terrible pun, Joe drops Meg at her school, which surprises her since normally people are too afraid to be seen with her.
Hey, who's that? Your boyfriend?
Yeah, that's my boyfriend.
Can't really blame those guys because who wants to be associated with Meg? Joe, however, is different as he drops her straight in front of the school, which causes Meg to feel special inside her heart. Meg, who has never been treated this kindly before, starts having feelings for Joe, which causes things to become weird pretty soon. The following morning, Joe finds Meg at his house pretty early in the morning, so he can't help but ask her if there's any special occasion.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to make sure you got a nice hot breakfast before you head off to work.
Oh, well, thanks.
If I didn't know Meg before, I would have totally bought her words. But after seeing what she did to Brian in the previous episode, I can't trust her anymore. Not to mention, have you seen the dress she's wearing? Totally sus. Joe also feels the same as he starts to notice that Meg is acting pretty weird ever since he dropped her at the school that day. Later at night, Joe is watching TV when Meg enters his room dressed up in Bonnie's clothes.
Hi, honey.
What? Is that Bonnie's dress?
Oh yeah.
Meg tries to play it cool as she lies that her own clothes were sullied by Susie, so she changed into Bonnie's. Joe decides to distance himself from Meg, which doesn't sit well with her, so she decides to take things into her own hands. She steals Joe's firearm and drives to the airport to put them inside Bonnie's luggage, so when the police check her stuff, she will be caught and put into jail.
Ma'am, is this your bag? Ma'am, this bag contains a concealed weapon. I'm gonna have to place you under arrest.
With Bonnie under arrest, Meg is free to seduce Joe as much as she wants, so she has him set a candlelight dinner for them. There, she finally confesses her feelings to Joe, which starts an argument between them, making them look like a real couple.
Oh, great. Now you've upset the baby.
I pity the young Susie. I wonder how she must be feeling having to suck on the most horrific things of her life. After this happens, Joe decides to act like a proper adult and tell Lois about it.
Meg has a crush on me.
Lois lectures Meg and tells her that the feelings that she has for Joe are nothing but fake. She tells her that Joe is already married and they have nothing that is common between them. Meg acts like she understands Lois, but in reality, she is already cooking up another plan to make Joe fall for her.
Ah! Meg, what the hell did you do?
I made us the same, Joe.
Meg thought that this would make Joe fall in love with her, as they both would have no one to depend on but themselves. Joe doesn't care about her stupid plans, so he immediately takes her to the hospital, where Meg recovers and forgets about Joe after learning that Bonnie is back. She apologizes for everything that she did, and they both forgive her, since she is still a naive child. However, Meg is anything but a naive child, as her lust knows no bounds. In the episode The Griffin's Family History, Meg is so down bad that she ends up getting charged for sexual harassment. The episode starts with burglars breaking into the Griffin's house, which causes panic to spring up amongst everyone. Peter already knew something like this would happen in the future, so he had prepared a safety plan for his family.
Quick, everyone get in the attic!
There, Peter had built a panic room for everyone to stay in, but there were a few problems. Although the panic room allows Peter to surveil all of the house through security cameras, the room itself doesn't have anything else, which means they will soon starve if no one goes downstairs and brings them some sandwiches. In the end, they all decide to send Meg downstairs through the vent pipe installed in the panic room. To make sure that the burglars don't do anything to Meg, they even spit on her. But the burglars are burglars, so when they see an undefended person, they take Meg as a hostage.
Oh no, the burglars got my baby!
The burglars write on a piece of paper and show it through the camera that they have their son and that the Griffins must not do anything stupid. Lois corrects them that Meg is their daughter, which causes the burglars to question the reality as they have never seen such a manly-looking daughter before. Lois is worried that Meg might be in danger, but what she doesn't know is that Meg isn't in danger, but she is the danger.
Is this like the part where you guys have your way with me?
What?
You know, where I'm like helpless and you guys take turns, you know?
Oh, no! Oh!
Even the burglars can't believe that Meg would be so down bad to make a move on them. If it were any other chick in America, they might have accepted her offers, but Meg, no questions. Meg is extremely angry that they are trying to reject her, so much so that she ends up assaulting one of the poor burglars.
No sale!
Come on! I'm pretty!
Are you okay?
Yeah, I was so scared.
The poor burglars are so traumatized by Meg that they end up turning themselves over to the police. The police save the Griffins, but they also tell them of what Meg did.
Unfortunately, they're pressing sexual harassment charges against your daughter.
If you think this was Meg's most down bad moment ever, then you should definitely wait for the next one, as it will leave you truly shocked. In the episode Christmas is Coming, Meg experiences the first ever climax of her life. The climax came from no one but Santa himself. This causes Meg to fall in love with Santa, but just like all her previous crushes, this one is left unrequited as well. The episode starts with Meg taking out Stewie to the mall as Lois gave her the responsibility to make Stewie's wish to sit on Santa's lap come true. Stewie is extremely excited at first, but when he finally gets to experience the dream of his life, he realizes why young kids are so afraid of Mr. Hubert.
So, little boy, what would you like for Christmas? What's wrong, little boy? Don't be scared of Santa.
No matter how much Santa tries to calm down Stewie, he continues to cry. In the end, Meg has to forcefully hold him down to sit on Santa's lap so that Lois won't blame her later on when she returns home without the picture.
Is it okay if I just hold him for the picture?
Ho, ho, ho! Of course. Sit right here, young lady.
Meg thought that it would just take a few seconds to take the picture and afterwards she will be free to return home and do her things. But what she didn't know, that during this small interaction between Santa's lap and her body, she will experience the first ever climax of her life. An experience so satisfying that Meg can't help but crave more.
Meg, what are you doing? You look like Mom when she sits on the washing machine.
As they say, like mom, like daughter. Poor Stewie had to see two such terrible experiences that would change his whole perspective of life.
I'll have what she's having.
Okay.
Ma'am, she's having the best time of her life, and you can only get him once in your life. And looking at your blonde hair, I know that time has long passed by. Well, what happens is that Meg starts to dream about Santa coming into her room and making her come. Things are getting spicier, but unfortunately, Lois wakes her up at the last moment.
It's 2 o'clock. I've never seen you sleep so soundly. What's going on?
Meg, who is still lost in her dreams, tells Lois the truth, or at least half of it.
Mom, I think I met someone.
Oh, Meg, that's amazing. I want to know all about him. What's his name?
Let's just call him Beard Boy.
Calling Santa a boy would be kind of an understatement, but well, Santa is Santa and Meg is Meg. Lois is happy that her daughter has finally found the love of her life, so she tells her to go and find him. After getting the affirmation from her mother, Meg goes out to find the Santa of her dreams, but what she ends up finding is nothing but disappointment.
Would you mind bouncing me a little?
Okay. I guess I can do that.
Hey, come on, a little harder than that.
No matter what she tries, she isn't able to get the same experience, which makes her wonder if her experience was even real, or if it was just her own delusions. Meg, still unwilling to believe that her Santa wasn't real, decides to go on a hunt through every mall in the country to find the Santa who made her a woman yesterday. After going through countless Santa laps, Meg is disappointed as no one is able to give her the same feeling. In the end, she is about to give up when her gaze falls onto a Santa who looks just like the one at the mall yesterday.
Oh my god, there's a bench right over there. Quick, let me sit on your leg.
No, that's not what I'm here for.
Santa calms Meg down and tells her that what she experienced yesterday was not because of his lap, but due to the deep-rooted wish inside her body. He tells her to look inside her body and find that place, which would give her the same feeling. In essence, Santa tells Meg to serve the 2 fingers just like all the other ladies do. After receiving the words of wisdom from Santa, Meg apologizes to him for the misunderstanding and leaves. And there you have it. Every time Meg Griffin lets her inner freak flag fly, whether it was hopeless flirting, questionable fantasies, or just plain desperation. One thing's for sure, Meg never fails to leave us somewhere between shocked and secondhand embarrassed. If you cringed, laughed, or had to pause out of secondhand embarrassment, go ahead and hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into Family Guy's wildest moments. Got a favorite Meg moment we missed? Drop it in the comments. We're not judging. Much.